As a catcher, the most difficult pitch to receive and the most difficult for an umpire to call consistently is the low pitch. In this video, we're going to discuss the best ways for a catcher to receive that low pitch so his pitcher gets the strike calls he deserves. Catchers have multiple skills to learn in order to play the position well at higher levels, and the most important is being able to receive pitches well. After all, that is the skill that catchers will use by far the most often. Some coaches refer to framing pitches, but personally I prefer the term presenting the pitch. The reason is quite simple. I don't want my catchers thinking that they're trying to fool the umpire and work against him. I would much rather my catchers think of helping the umpire make good calls. This change in thinking makes him and the umpires partners behind the plate rather than adversaries, and given the time they spend together, this is a much more productive attitude. There are 4 steps to being a great catcher at receiving and presenting the low pitch. Number 1, be close enough to the batter. I have found that most youth catchers pick a spot to set up, and regardless of where the batter is in the box, they are always set up at the same distance from home plate, and they usually are not anywhere near close enough to the batter. You can see our other video on how to set up as a catcher for more information. In this video, we see one of my favorite Major League Baseball catchers, Brian McCann, receiving a low pitch, and you can see just how close he is to the batter. Granted, the camera angle here makes him appear even closer, but he catches this pitch at or in front of the batter's back foot. Here are some other videos of a catcher being in the right spot, and a few examples of catchers being far too deep. This is something that does not require skill or practice. Being close enough as a catcher is either do or do not. There is no try.
Do or do not. There is no try.
And number 2, get your thumb under the ball. If possible, we do not want to catch that pitch with our glove turned downward. Here's an example of getting the thumb under the ball without turning the glove. The better you are at keeping your thumb parallel to the ground, the better. This is an example of a catcher turning the glove around. Once the catcher turns the glove like this, the umpire will almost always call a ball. Even dropping the glove like in this clip is less than ideal but can be acceptable. You will see this movement by some great catchers, but personally, I think this looks far better. Of course, catching every ball is the most important thing, but when possible, keep your thumb parallel to the ground and get it underneath the ball. This is a skill you will need to practice in order to get right in a game. Number 3, beat the ball to the spot. Once the catcher is set up close enough, when they recognize that the pitch is going to be low, the catcher should try to beat the ball to the spot rather than catching the pitch when their glove is moving down. This actually applies to every pitch regardless of location, but with a low pitch, think down to up. If you can get there waiting for the ball, the catch will appear much better, and once you're strong enough, you can stick that pitch without letting the force of the ball drag your glove down. Here's a clip of a catcher beating the ball to the spot, but the force of the pitch pulls the glove down. If you lack the strength to hold that pitch in place, don't be discouraged. As a youth catcher, you're going to grow and you're going to get stronger. As long as you work on the fundamentals, when the arm strength comes, you'll be ready and you'll make it look easy. Even Major League Baseball catchers make mistakes, as seen here. It's likely that this pitch was delivered wrong and caused the ball to move in a way that the catcher wasn't expecting. This is why catchers call pitches. They need to know what is coming. It's rare to see an MLB catcher get to the ball late. This is a pitch he probably could have gotten a strike call on, but the poor glove movement likely hurt his chances. This is certainly a skill that you can work on in practice, while catching bullpen and while in actual games. As your pitcher gets better at hitting spots, it will become easier for you too. And finally, number 4, reach out to get that pitch. Pitched balls are always dropping, so the further the ball travels, the closer to the ground it will be when it's caught, and the less likely called a strike. So not only do you want to get up close enough to the batter, you also want to reach out to get that low pitch when the ball is still higher. By dropping a knee, you lower your torso and you have more strength to hold that pitch in place. If you fear reaching out because you're afraid of getting hit by the bat, This is really something you're going to need to learn to block out. Reaching out for the low pitch works because you remain underneath the swing path. In this video clip, we see a young catcher that is obviously too deep, but he is also not reaching out to get the low pitch. When we look at this one frame by frame, we see that it was probably a strike, but since the ball is caught in the dirt, the umpire called it a ball. Had this catcher been close enough and caught that ball up in this area, the chances are good that the umpire would have called it correctly. This is why the catcher works with the umpire to help him call a good game. That low pitch is easy to see by coaches from a side angle, but very hard for an umpire to see. So if he's not calling it right, he'll hear about it. As the game goes on, the umpire will know which catcher he can trust and which catcher is making his life difficult. This is another skill that requires practice. I don't recommend trying this in a game before you have a chance to get comfortable doing it in practice, or by working your way into it a little closer at a time. Safety should come first, but eventually you do want to get that pitch at the batter's back foot or even a little bit in front of it. At the Little League World Series in 2017, there was one catcher that was far and away the best at receiving the low pitch, and that was the Texas catcher. He's the first youth catcher I've seen stick that pitch correctly on a consistent basis. He is close enough to the batter, although he could probably get a little bit closer. He's certainly within the margin of error in his setup. He gets his thumb underneath the ball, keeping his glove at an acceptable angle. He is definitely beating the ball to the spot, and most impressive, he is catching from down to up, which at this age is extremely rare. Someone didn't just hand this catcher equipment and tell him to get behind the plate. This young man spent a lot of time working on doing the job correctly and was coached by someone who knows the position. If this video was helpful, check out our other catcher videos. And don't forget to subscribe, as we'll be posting more youth baseball videos regularly.